Okay, so hello everyone and Merry Christmas since I'm recording this, or at least I'm starting to record this on Christmas Day. So I'm just going to quickly go over the most better to least better juries in BBUS, and I'm not going to go into much detail in any of them. I'm just going to say a very quick sentence about all of them. So at 22 is Big Brother 17. I don't recall anyone in the jury being better against the finalists, and to be fair, they had no reason to be better. It seemed like everyone was very open to voting for and hearing the perspectives of both finalists. At 21 is BB23. I mean, the cookout wanted a quote unquote certain type of person to win who checks off a bunch of boxes to be the first black winner, so they weren't better, and the non cookout members would not be better because they knew they would come off as racist if they were better. At 20 is Big Brother 22. There's literally no bitterness, but I think the jury just wanted to get this over with and go home. Enzo freaked out because he thought the jury was laughing at him, so that's something. At 19 is BB12. No one seemed bitter as the jury portion and the finale took place, but we later learned that apparently Brittany tricked Brenchel into being better against Hayden and voting for Elaine, which explained their votes. At 18 is BB16. I do think that there was minor bitterness against Derek from the likes of Donnie and Jacosta, but it wasn't that deep. Everyone else was ready to champion Derek as a BB legend mastermind. At 17 is BB15. So, Candace was better against Gina Marie, and for good reason. At the same time, I don't think the jury in general was better. Everyone gave Andy his props, and people just didn't care for Gina Marie, rather than bitterness. Outside of maybe, and maybe, Amanda. At 16 is BB21. I don't have much to say about this one. It doesn't seem like most of the jury wanted Jackson or Holly at the end, but there's no bitterness or excitement either way. At 15 is BB7. I don't think the jury overall was better, but I do feel like Marcellus was better against Bunky, and Janelle was better against Erica. The others wanted the best representation to win, since it is an all-star season and they wanted the best player to win. At 14 is BB13. The jury was definitely split up against both finalists, and there were people on both sides who were slightly bitter and discredited everything the finalists did, but is nowhere close to the ones that will be ranked above them. At 13 is BB6. It's weird since it doesn't seem like either side is particularly excited to give either of the finalists money, and they both got some tough questions at the end. Very middle of the road in general. At 12 is BB10. There was definitely some anger towards Dan while the jury portion was being played out, but by the time the questioning took place, I think most of it subsided. Keisha was definitely better against Memphis though. At 11 is BB9, so there was quite a bit of bitterness that the jury had against Ryan, mainly because of Jen, who was booted in week 1, which is interesting. Also, Sheila was definitely better against Adam, but got over it by the time she had to vote. At 10 is BB5. It is weird because while I don't think the jury showed a specific set of bitterness against a finalist, they did grill both of the finalists in ways that did seem kind of personal, and they had a lot of tough questions. So maybe there was a bit of bitterness and anger, or they just wanted to keep it real. That's just why it's in the middle. So at 9 is BB11. We saw the jury get more and more annoyed and bitter against Natalie as the jury portion continued on and forth. I also do think America's vote could have played an influence as to why they were more pro Jordan, even Natalie's allies, as the season went on. At 8 is BB20. I honestly think that many of the votes were caused due to stupidity and naivety, and not because there's any bitterness. Of course, there was a pact, so I can't ignore it too much though, but I don't think it's as bitter as many people think, hence it's only being at 8. At 7 is BB18. This season is so high because there are definitely some people who are better against Paul and some who are better against Nicole. So there was bitterness, but it was pretty spread out overall. At 6 is BB2. Most of the jury were very pissed off at Nicole and did not want her to win, and we knew they were better against Nicole for weeks since they would make comments in the house. And a decent amount of them were definitely pissed off with Will as well. And I think both of the finalists knew that they wanted someone more realistic to be at the end, but that wasn't how reality TV ran. At 5 is BBC. The jury did not want a result like Big Brother 2 to happen, meaning the devious Nicole and Will being at the end, and they didn't want a winner to represent what either those two represented, and Danielle played very similarly to those two, so they were very bitter at what she did to get to the end in some of her actions, and this bitterness would change the show forever. At 4 is BB14. The jury made it known from the very beginning that they didn't want to vote for a vet to win, since they wanted a newbie to represent the winner of that season and for them to have their chance. And a lot of them were very pissed off with Dan's antics throughout the season, as it kept on going even until the final 4. At number 3 is BB8. No one in the jury was excited to or wanted to vote for either one of the Donatos, and it got to the point where they were actually looking forward to voting for Zach, who none of them even liked in the house anyways. I just think the Donatos' personalities and potentially the favoritism they got might have annoyed the jury. At number 2 is BB19, and I'm honestly shocked this isn't number 1. Of course, you had the set of 5 that formed a pact against Paul, but the others weren't really pro Josh either, and the 5 who did form that pact against Josh weren't pro Josh either. It just seems like they wanted the season to be over with, and none of them were really happy with how things played out. At number 1 is BB4, which is the very first sequestered jury. It was very clear that no one in the jury wanted to vote for either one of June or Allison, and seeing how the jury interacted with the finalists, not only at the questioning, but especially at the night finale as they revealed their votes, just showed how annoyed and pissed off they were, and the finalists couldn't even enjoy their victory due to it, and knowing how everyone felt about them. People tend to forget how bitter this story really is, because it took place so long ago. So that is my list. I don't know if this is going to be my last video of the year, but thank you all for supporting me and watching me throughout this entire year, especially as I started to kind of change things up. But have a Merry Christmas and hopefully a Happy New Year.